Hi, thanks for joining me this morning as we discuss navigating public contracts. I'm Marnie Farnes, the Relationships and Strategy Manager with Columbia River Economic Development Council. And initially this morning, we were going to host a live webinar using Zoom. And of course, for those of you who tried to log in, that ended up being an issue. And so the group here today, thanks to Carol Bernard, he pulled out his technology like toolbox, and we switched it up right quick. And so we're recording this. Of course, it's not live, but when you see this, you'll be seeing obviously a recorded version of what was intended to be our webinar this morning. If you, after watching this webinar, have questions, of course, because it's not live, if you want to email your questions to me, I can do my best to get your questions answered. And of course, I'm guessing that at least a few of our panelists here today will also be sharing their contact information. So we'll try to get you all connected. So these past few weeks, I know we all have heard from a lot of different businesses who have expressed an interest in meeting the demand for personal protective equipment out there to respond to the fight against COVID-19. And so the purpose of this webinar really was to help businesses to figure out how to jump in and do that work. But also, a lot of businesses have perhaps thought about government contracting for quite some time. And so this is the time that maybe you're just now thinking, okay, maybe this is the time. So that was the thought behind this call today, to help you do that. There's a lot of different steps involved with contracting with government, and it can be quite daunting and overwhelming. And so our panelists here today are 3 people who do this work every day, and so they'll have a lot of good information to share with you. So with us today, we have Joe Smetak. Joe, did I say your name right?
Smetak.
Smetak. I knew that as I was thinking through it, I thought, I bet that's not right. So Joe Smetak, he is a business opportunity specialist with the Small Business Administration. And Jeanette Santiago is a government contracting specialist with the Washington State Procurement Technical Assistance Center, often shortened to PTAC. And then Carol Bernard is the founder and CEO of Govology. And so hi Carol, and so we are going to hear from each of our guests. I feel like the guest because Carol is the one orchestrating this, but you know, in this day of technology, you just shift it up and go to plan B whenever you need to. So anyway, so Joe, Jeanette, and Carol, I'm going to ask each of you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your organization just real quick. And then, of course, we'll spend a little bit more time talking in depth about what you do. So Joe, let's start with you.
Sure. So first, thank you for organizing this webinar and recording. Understandably, I think a lot of small businesses are really hurting right now. So I think it's great to kind of organize all of this information for small businesses who are interested in government contracting as a resource for them. But my name is Joe Smetak, and as you noted, I'm a business opportunity specialist with the Small Business Administration. I spend most of my time on a day-to-day basis working in the SBA's 8A Business Development Program, which is a contracting program for the federal government. But the SBA has a number of programs designed to help small businesses And I'll talk more about those programs when we get into my presentation.
Thank you, Joe. Jeanette.
Good morning. My name is Jeanette Santiago. I am a procurement specialist with Washington PTAC. I cover 3 counties, Cowlitz, Skamania, and Clark, but I do have a whole team in the whole state of Washington, and I will go over my services later, but basically I help small businesses find, bid, and win government contracts, whether they're state or federal.
Thank you. Carol.
Hi, my name is Carol Bernard. As Marnie mentioned, I'm the co-founder of Govology, and I actually got my start back in the acquisition community and in the federal government. Started back in the Navy. Then when I came off of active duty, I worked for the city of Vancouver for a while. I went back and worked for the feds at the VA, where I did mostly construction acquisition, and then I had Joe's job for a while over there at the SBA in the Portland district office, helping the 8A firms. And then I switched over and I was the PTAC guy that now Jeanette's taking over my role as the PTAC. And but one of the big challenges that we saw out there is really to try to get this broad depth of education to people. And not everybody could make it to some of the location-based events that I was doing back when I was at the SBA and even at the PTAC. So I said, why don't we bring a lot of this online? And so really that's what Govology is. We have about 90 on-demand trainings on various topics for people that want to do business with the government. And we have a very unique model that we work with a lot of the PTACs across the country so that the small businesses can access the training for free. So I'll talk about this a little bit later if you're in Oregon or Washington, how you can work with the PTAC in those states to access any of our trainings that we have, and give you a couple of recommended places to start.
Good, thanks, Carol. One thing I wanted to mention, and Carol, I'll rely on your expertise to help me to do this, but I wanted to show real quick our website, CREDC's website. So, Carol, am I set to just show my screen?
Yep, we can see it now.
Okay. So, hopefully most of you know that CREDC has a pretty long list of business resources. So on our website, we have a section just designated for COVID-19 business resources. And we also have business resources in Spanish. That's a new addition. And so if you know of anybody who would benefit from that, that's up here at the top. And also we have a survey so a few weeks ago, we stood up a survey, and many of you took the survey, which was great. So now we've updated it. And so anybody who's already taken the survey, if you would please take it again, because it's changed, it's updated and relevant to just to kind of the progression of the situation. And for those of you who haven't yet taken it, please take it. That's not the only way, but that's the most efficient way for us to gather the information that we need to do a big part of our job at CREDC, which is representing business and advocating on behalf of business and business needs when we are talking and working with our friends in government on all levels. So we really, really need that. Please spread the word. So you can also access previous calls that we've done. Here's my contact information, Marnie Farnes. So again, if you have any questions from today's call that obviously you won't get answered during the call, please give me a call or shoot me off an email, and I will try to get those questions answered for you. All right. So as you can see, the list kind of goes on and on. It might seem overwhelming. Our team is working very, very hard to keep this up to date. they're updating it all the time. So it's pretty reliable place to find information. Okay, back to what we're here to talk about today. Thank you, Carol.
Absolutely.
Okay. So let's go ahead and jump in. And Joe, I'm going to start with you. I know that you mentioned that you wanted to share a little bit about some of the recent SBA changes for businesses that maybe, you know, there's a lot out there and it changes frequently.
Absolutely. So the SBA is a federal agency, so all of the information that I have in my presentation today is geared towards the federal government. Obviously, doing business with state and local governments is a little different in terms of the process and the rules and regulations that govern those processes. But just want to make sure that everybody realizes that everything I'm going to talk about is geared towards the federal side. And I spend most of my time at the SBA working on the government contracting side of things, but I'm going to give a kind of a broad overview of the SBA programs that are available to help small businesses, including some of our government contracting programs. Our website is sba.gov, and there's a lot of great information on that website, including doing business with the federal government, but also some of our other programs as well. So I'm going to kind of give a high-level overview of some of our other programs. First, I want to talk a little bit about our resource partner network. So the SBA provides funding to various organizations such as the Small Business Development Centers, SCORE, Women's Business Center, Veterans Business Outreach Center. And these organizations are available to help small businesses with general business consulting at low or no cost, typically no cost. So these are great organizations if you're a small business and need assistance, for example, developing your business plan or developing your marketing and outreach plan, that sort of thing. We also focus on federal contracting. So the federal government is the world's largest buyer of goods and services, bar nobody else. Last year, in fiscal year 2019, the federal government nationwide spent around $600 billion. And obviously that's a lot of money. The federal government is very small business friendly, and they actually have targeted set aside acquisition goals. And basically what that means is that they want to see a portion of that yearly spend go to small businesses. So there's a 23% goal overall for small businesses with respect to federal contracting. Within that 23%, there's 4 additional small business programs. And I'm just going to touch upon these very, very briefly. Each of these programs probably could have an entire class dedicated to them. But I want to make everybody aware of kind of how the federal government purchases and the goals available, the goals that they have when they are issuing these contracts. So there's a 5% goal for women-owned small businesses. Right now, this is a self-certification with the SBA. Over the summer, that is going to be moving over to a formal certification. There's also a 5% goal for small disadvantaged businesses, including that 8A business development program, which I mentioned previously. This program is for small businesses who are owned by socially and economically disadvantaged individuals. And it's actually a 9-year business development program, so there's a lifetime to it. But one of the great benefits of this program is that for companies who are participating in the 8A business development program, the federal government has sole source authority, meaning that under certain thresholds, the federal government can issue sole source contracts to companies in the 8A business development program without competition. There's also a 3% goal for HubZone certified businesses, and HubZone stands for Historically Underutilized Business Zone. And this is a formal certification with the SBA, and it's based upon where a company's primary office location is. So if your company is located in a hub zone and at least 35% of your employees reside in a hub zone, you can potentially qualify for the hub zone certification and take advantage of the benefits of the program. There's also a 3% goal for service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses. And this is for small businesses who are owned and controlled by a service-disabled vet. Now, the way that the government meets these goals typically is by setting aside contracts so that only companies within these socioeconomic categories can compete on these contracts. So as you're looking for federal contracting opportunities, which I think we'll talk a little bit more about later on in the meeting today, you will see that the federal government has set aside a specific contracting opportunity, for example, so that only small businesses can compete on it, or for example, so that only women-owned small businesses can compete on it. So it's a great way to reduce competition and help give your company a competitive advantage when selling to the federal government. Now, this is obviously a very high-level overview of these programs. There's a lot more nuance to these programs in terms of companies' eligibility and the benefits to these programs. But I just want to make everybody aware that these programs are out there, that the federal government is small business friendly, and they are actively seeking small businesses with which to do business. So given the current situation surrounding COVID-19, there's been a lot of interest in SBA loan assistance, and there's actually, as a result of the CARES Act that was recently signed into law, additional funding opportunities for small businesses to help keep their business afloat during these times of uncertainty. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of our current loan programs and ultimately grant programs for small businesses who are being impacted by the current COVID-19 situation. The first of these programs I wanted to talk about is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. So within the SBA, we have our Office of Disaster Assistance, and that kind of sub-office within the SBA provides low-interest loans to small businesses during times of disaster. With the president declaring a national emergency, the SBA opened up an Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, and this program allows small businesses to take out a loan up to $2 million at a low interest rate. And I have a link later in the presentation where you can go to apply for this loan. But what's interesting about this program is that you can apply immediately for a $10,000 grant, or $10,000 advance on that loan, which will be forgiven. So ultimately, that $10,000 advance is a grant for your small business. So this is what our website kind of looks like right now, and it has all of our new programs with respect to COVID-19. One of the other programs that I wanted to talk about was the Paycheck Protection Program, which has had quite a, it's been in the news quite a bit recently. I'm sorry. So with the EIDL or Eidolon Loans, you know, obviously there's been a lot of interest in this program. So I just wanted to include some additional information for anybody viewing this webinar so that they can either go to the website and look at the application process, as well as to provide a disaster assistance helpline. So our Office of Disaster Assistance has a helpline for businesses going through this application process. And I just wanted to make sure that everybody had that information for this program. So I think the program that's garnered the most attention so far is the Paycheck Protection Program. And what this is a program, again, part of the CARES Act that was recently signed into law. but it allows small businesses to take out a loan with an existing SBA lender, and provided that loan is used for covered expenses within the Paycheck Protection Program, including paying for payroll or interest on a mortgage, for example, utilities costs or lease costs, this program and the amount of money provided to a small business will be forgiven, and it will ultimately be a grant. So the CARES Act authorized $349 billion under this program to help small businesses retain jobs and maintain their payroll during this time of uncertainty. So the way that this program works is that the SBA is providing this funding to small businesses through our existing SBA lenders. We have also opened up and relaxed our regulations in terms of allowing more lenders to be able to provide funding under the Payroll Protection Program. So I have a link here. The SBA has developed an application on our website. You can plug in your zip code and you can see existing lenders who are taking advantage of this program and issuing funds to small businesses. What I recommend, if you are a business who is interested in taking part in this program to help cover payroll costs or those other covered expenses, what I would recommend doing is reaching out to your current lender, the current bank with which you do business, to see if they will be participating. We are updating the application that is tracking these lenders on a daily basis. We're continually adding new lenders. So what I would recommend is first checking with your current bank to see if they are participating in the program. If not, feel free to reach out to me or anybody else at the SBA Portland District Office, and we can provide additional lenders who you might be able to work with to get access to the Payroll Protection Program. I also just wanted to note, beware of scams. This is a very new program, and it's a very large program. As I said before, it has almost $350 billion attached to it. Unfortunately, we have already seen unscrupulous individuals or organizations trying to take advantage of the program to get personal information from small businesses who want to apply for this program. So beware of scams. Always check the email address if somebody is emailing you for information on any of these programs. A major red flag would be the email address coming from a .com versus .gov. Check the website, and certainly if you have questions, if you get an email or you get a phone call, or if you're not sure the website that you're on is legitimate, give us a call over at the SBA and we can help make that determination for you. Given that the circumstances surrounding COVID-19 are changing so rapidly, I would also recommend that you sign up for SBA Updates. You can go to sba.gov/updates to get updates as we get them. We have also been very active on our Twitter at SBA_PortlandOR. And we've been providing updates as we receive them. These are two very new programs, and they are very large programs in terms of the amount of money attached to them. So we want to make sure that we're getting information out to small businesses as quickly as possible. And we've had an extraordinary amount of small businesses calling in with interest on these programs. And obviously we're a small office, so we can only handle so many calls in a given time. So this will make sure that you get updates as quickly as possible. So all of these links are all of these, everything you see here on the screen is hot linked. So we can determine a way to get these exact links over to you so that you're going directly to an SBA.gov website when you're looking at these various programs. This is my contact information. I know that was a very high level overview of the SBA programs that are out there, and it wasn't exhaustive. We have our traditional lending programs as well, but based on the amount of calls we've been getting with respect to the Paycheck Protection Program, as well as the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, I kind of focus on those two programs here a little bit, but do keep in mind that the SBA is the federal agency that is responsible for administering the small business programs with respect to selling to the federal government. So if you are interested in selling to the federal government and you're looking at some of those certification programs and you have additional questions, feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to talk with small businesses about that. Actually, in a prior life, I worked at a PTAC in Wisconsin, which is the type of organization that Jeanette works for. So, helping small businesses is something I feel very strongly about, and it's in my blood. So with that, I will hand things back over.
Joe, I have a quick question.
Sure.
If a business is pursuing funding through Eidolon or PPP, does that impact their ability to participate in government contracting? Like,
no,
will that have any kind of, okay.
No, it wouldn't impact their ability to take part in federal contracts. And under the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, it can actually help provide capital to help support a government contract. And really, if you're looking at keeping your employees under payroll during this time to help support a federal contract, the Paycheck Protection Program might be able to help with that as well.
Good.
Joe, I have a question for you also.
Sure.
I heard somebody ask me, or they thought that they heard that if you did the Eidolon loan, you could not do the Paycheck Protection Program. It's one or the other. Is that fact or a myth?
No, that is a myth. If you do apply for an Eidolon loan and you get funds under an Eidolon loan, you can still take advantage of the Paycheck Protection Program. However, if you get funds under the Eidolon, the amount of money you get under the Paycheck Protection Program might be less. So my recommendation for firms would be to review both programs. If you're unsure of which one is the best fit for you, reach out to the SBA. We can help provide additional guidance. But the Paycheck Protection Program, provided that you are using the funds provided under that program for covered expenses, that will completely turn into a grant. The loan will be 100% forgiven, whereas the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program is a loan. So it would be expected that you would pay that amount borrowed under that program back at a 3.75% interest rate.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Quick question for you, Joe.
Sure.
So what will you recommend a small business to prepare their paperwork or their documents or their business in order to apply for any of those grants or loans?
Sure. So the SBA has actually streamlined both of the processes for these programs pretty efficiently. So with respect to the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, there's an online application process, and the documents needed to apply for that program are right there online. With respect to the Paycheck Protection Program, small businesses will apply for that program directly with a lender. So there is an application for that, which can be downloaded from the SBA's website under the links that I have in my presentation. So taking a look at that application, making sure that you have it filled out, is definitely good advice, but also taking a look back at your last 12 months of payroll. When applying, the lender is going to ask for information with respect to your last 12 months of payroll. So getting that information in anticipation for applying for the Paycheck Protection Program would be good advice for that small business as well.
Great. Thank you, Joe.
Absolutely.
Good. Well, Jeanette, what you got for us?
Okay, can you see my, oh, let me show you my screen.
I can see it.
Perfect. All right. So just kind of reiterating what Joe was saying, the information is constantly changing, and at the end of the presentation, you will see our website, and I recommend to constantly go to WashingtonPTAC.org and to see updated changes. So quick overview over PTAC services. Washington PTAC is funded by, well, actually, it's put together and established by Congress back in the mid-'80s. And we are funded by DOD and administered by the DLA. And with the help of nonprofit organizations and sub-centers in Washington, we're able to provide free services to small businesses. There's 93 PTACs in the US, and that employs over 400 counselors. As your PTAC counselor, I can not only help you get business in Washington, but all across the United States. Overview of our services. We provide this for free, prepare you to work with government agencies. We also assist you in the requirements and registrations to be eligible to bid. We help you find opportunities, interpret solicitations and regulations, also assist in registrations and certifications, some of what Joe was talking about. We help guide you through how to market yourself to the government. And we also help you avoid costly errors. So we try to help you understand the best the regulations for federal and state. And we do this through one-on-one counseling sessions. When we do get the okay to meet people one-on-one, I can do this online as well. And we do matchmaking events. Again, I refer you to go to our events page and see what upcoming events are near you. And also we do training, online training, and bid match services. So one of like Carol said from Govology, we partner up with Govology, and we have additional resources with Govology as regarding online. And bid match services, it's a service that it's a third-party service that we pay for. So for a fee of $165 a year, you have that service, and I'm more than happy to explain on when you give me a call what that is. Okay. So just going to cover 6 steps on contracting with Department of Defense or federal government. And some of you have already covered these 3 first steps if you're already registered with sam.gov. One would be, first step is to find out what products and service codes that your company has, or through, and also your NAICS code, which is North American Industry Classification System. It's important to find that all the codes that fall under your capabilities and your core competence or capabilities. And by finding those, you'll be able to be prepared to sign up for sam.gov. Second step would be to go on Dun & Bradstreet, and I provided these links. And it's really simple process. You do have to wait 24 to 48 hours before you get an email with your DUNS. So a lot of what I find is that I'm getting a lot of calls with companies that have not done business with the federal government, and they think it's just a matter of a application or for me to contact them directly to the agency. But if you are not registered with SAM, the government, you need to be registered with SAM. It's a requirement. Of course, a lot of things are changing. So as far as what I know is you need to re-register with SAM in order to work with the federal government. We'll see. But so these steps, they seem so simple, One moment, I'm having an error come up. Can you still see my screen?
I can still see it.
Okay. All right, one moment. Okay, great. I'm just getting an error message on my end. Okay, so these steps, though they're simple, they can take up to I would say registering with sam.gov, they say 10 working days, but I've seen it can take 2 to 3 weeks. So, you know, it's not something that it's done overnight. Number 4 is to explore federal programs, and for small businesses. And I provided these links in there. The DoD does want to maximize opportunities for small business. So they're trying to make it really easy for small businesses to work with you. Again, I'm receiving error messages. I'm hoping everything's okay.
It's all
Okay.
good.
All right. I also provided the additional links, a guide to marketing, and excuse me, and there's also, when guide to marketing, there's also other resources that are available in there. Small business office, you can contact the small business office. There is small business specialists for every federal agency that are there to assist you to work with the federal agency that they're in. So please get to know who your small business specialist is for the federal agency that you're trying to work with. So these are very important links to go into and review. If you have any questions, please reach out. There's also a forecast link to forecast what the agency is, what they're purchasing. So that's just part of marketing. That's part of just doing your homework to make sure that you know what agency is buying what, and if they're buying what you're selling. And number 5 is to identify opportunities through what used to be called fbo.gov is now beta.sam.gov.
So that's where they would find what's out there.
Opportunities occurring, yes.
Okay.
I would say number 4 is just really important links to familiarize yourself with the federal regulations. It can be costly to not know what regulations fall under your contract. So these are links. The acquisition, the first one, .gov, is a very user-friendly link. You can type in a keyword and it will bring up the regulations that fall under those particular keywords. Or so it's a very simple tool. Number 5 is there's the opportunities on GSA schedules. If you're not on a GSA schedule, it can take about 9 to a year, 12 months to set yourself up. That's a normal average depending on the client, but I can talk to you about how you can provide your products from there and post it up. It's basically a GSA schedule is what I call an Amazon, right? Or you put your supplies there in Amazon. That's kind of the government version of Amazon is the GSA schedule. And another site to explore is the FedMall. And that's also contract opportunities as well as there for suppliers. For the information for COVID is constantly changing. We as PTAC counselors are getting the information and we're trying to relay this to our clients, but constantly changing. So as of today, this is what I know, and updated information would be on those links as well. So I would suggest please take a look at that, and if you have any questions, please feel free to follow up with me. Now regarding state, basically everything that I spoke had to do with federal. Now, I just listened to the news the other day, and it didn't seem, well, Governor Inslee from Washington State was saying that they're actually having trouble getting supplies from federal, and this is the state. So they decided to just kind of take control of their own, and they're seeking companies or manufacturing companies to supply to them. So here's a link to applications you can see on the right to fill out and then share your capabilities to Washington State. I'm sure if all local state agencies, if you go to their website, they have information on their website. Everybody's being really good about keeping up to date with their website and constantly updating on how to work with them. So if you want to work with your local city, go to your local city website and see what are their needs. And so I will be providing that link here. This is our Washington PTAC site. As soon as you log into the homepage, this is what you see, the COVID-19 contracting resources. This is only part of it. If you scroll down, you can see just a bunch of information. Just like anyone else, we are constantly updating and changing and adding useful links in there. And please reach out to, yes.
Jeanette, I just want to make sure we're seeing the right thing. What I'm still seeing right now is where it says interested in manufacturing needed supplies, I think part of your PowerPoint.
Oh, see, I knew there was, okay.
There we go. Is this it right here?
This is our website. It says washingtonptac.org on the top.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, great. So as I was saying, we are constantly updating this website. You can find our events page for local events. Even most of the events, I'm sure they're webinar right now. We have a resource page. We have updates on SAM. We have you can also find who's your local PTAC. Like I said, I covered 3 counties in Southwest Washington, but there's a whole team in Oregon. If you are an Oregon resident or Oregon business, actually, on the left side, you can see 2 of contacts, Poncho and Glenn. They are with GCAPP. They're a counterpart for me on the Oregon side. I would suggest if you are an Oregon business, please contact Poncho or Glenn. Poncho speaks Spanish, and I also speak Spanish. So if you speak Spanish, you feel free to call me if you are a Washington business. And I'm more than happy to help you through working with the federal government. That's what I have for now. Thank you.
Jeanette, real quick, you talked about the compliance issues and how they can be costly errors.
Yes.
Can you just give an example? Just any example? Like what would that look like?
What happens is that some businesses don't read their contracts, and it's unfortunate that they don't take that extra step, and because some regulations are called out on their contracts. If there's a regulation called out on your contract, you need to know. They're not going to put it all in there. They're just going to tell you the number of the regulation. Go find out what that regulation is, what those clauses, what if they added a clause, what is that? Because it can be costly at the end. So it's just like any contract, right? Understand what you're signing, the bottom line.
Right. Good. I know that Will Kitchen from Impact Washington was going to join us, but because of the whole change of plans, he was unable to be a part. And but Impact Washington is doing work at the state level, and and so I will try to when we post this recording, I will also try to post some information from Impact Washington that might be useful for businesses that are wondering, like, you know, what's happening at the state level and how can they get involved with some of the COVID projects. So in addition to what you shared, Jeanette, anybody who's listening to this call should perhaps look for that or reach out to me and I can try to connect.
Right. And right now, Marnie, this is a time that a lot of, even for us, we're learning a lot of old regulations that we never thought we were going to be able to find out, or new policies, new regulations that are changing. Even the government, they're just in a new territory because this has never happened before. And some of the things that regulations that apply, they can say, we don't care. And I think
Right.
Carol is going to talk a little bit more about this in his presentation, but you know, just contact us in regards to guidance, and we'll tackle that together. But we're learning as much as fast as we're able to, and trying to share it to our clients.
You know, we always thought we knew, at least on some level, the term building the plane as you fly it. But I think everybody can relate right now to, you know, just what that is like. So.
Right, right.
You,
Thank you.
Hi, Carol.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. And let me see. I don't know if you can see my screen just yet.
There it is.
All right. Awesome. Well, thanks for inviting me along here today to tag along with you guys. And just going back before I jump in to kind of piggyback on another, what the question that you asked Jeanette about, another example of how you can relate some of these costly compliance issues. There was a case that construction contractor got a contract, and with construction contracts, there's prevailing wage rates. So you have to, pay specific wages on your job. And then there's also subcontractors that's going to be required to meet those regulations as well. So when you get a contract from the government, it's important that you flow down those regulations and make sure that, for example, if you've got a sub, they're doing the right things as well. So in one case, the subcontractor was not paying the prevailing wage rates. And what happened was that the government found out, and they're like, hey, why aren't you paying the prevailing wage rates? I was like, then that guy went to his sub and said, hey, why aren't you paying the prevailing wage rates? He said, hey, because you didn't put them in my contract. So the prime contractor was on the hook for paying basically $200,000 in wages that didn't get paid to the employees that they should have gotten paid, and that was on the prime. So that's kind of another example about why you want to work. And really, I'm going to talk a little bit about the concept of building a mastermind alliance so that you can, work with the PTAC and other subject matter experts to help you as you move along in this process, and know that you are not alone. So with that, let me forward this for you a little bit here. So again, we launched Govology about 2015 after I saw the need for just really the education not being complete, because there's a lot that you need to know about. And so there was some good starting classes around, but I wanted to really broaden that arena of training. And so now we have training for not just the business development and marketing people, but it's also important for your accountants to understand what they need to know about doing business with the government. Cybersecurity is the big topic this year. We've got training on that online. Contract management, compliance, legal, those kind of things. So you might be a one-person show and wear all of those hats, or you might have a team that might want to plug into some of this education as well, because as a team, they will play a role in this whole aspect of government contracting. And so I know Joe did a great job in talking about the overview, that $600 billion marketplace, and then PTAC's also a great resource. What I wanted to do is just kind of piggyback on what they said, and also just kind of distill this down into really a few key takeaways that I've developed after really doing this for about 10 years, and to just try to help you not to get too overwhelmed because there's so much out there, and when you get into some of these websites, it's like opening up like a Pandora's box of more websites and more websites and more websites, and then it's just like it's crazy.
Totally know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you a few tips to just kind of help you keep your sanity. So 5 tips to access federal market opportunities. Step 1 is to explore the opportunity, and first of all, access the why for yourself. And that why for most businesses is growth. They see an opportunity, they want to grow their business, and that's a good why. But more importantly, what I believe your why really also should be is for protection and diversification. 10 years ago, I sat in the seat that Joe sits in now, and we were right in the midst of the last recession. And there was a ton of people trying to get involved with the government marketplace because everything had dried up in the private markets. Unfortunately, you can't just turn it on so fast all the time. So you want to really get involved as soon as you can so that you can start learning, you can start getting into position to take advantage of those opportunities. Now, here we are again, and I've been preaching this for the last 10 years, and this is why I was so passionate about building Govology, because it was heartbreaking when I was sitting there at the SBA having these companies come in, they're going bankrupt, they're trying to find some salvation for their business, and they're reaching out to government as a hope last rung opportunity, and a little bit too little too late. So is it too late right now? I don't think so. You can still get involved. I mean, there's opportunities that are going on right now as we speak. As you guys know, that the government's buying a lot with regards to this COVID-19 epidemic. But there's a lot of other opportunities. The end of the government's fiscal year ends coming up here in October, and that's fourth quarter spend is usually pretty hectic. So I can imagine it's going to be even more hectic this year because they had to kind of put a lot of their normal acquisitions on hold while they went out and get some of these things that they needed to get, these critical supplies and services to deal with COVID-19. So really, don't just think about this as a growth opportunity, but think about it as an opportunity that in the times when we are coming up into a recession, and we're likely going to enter into maybe an extended recession after this whole COVID-19 thing is over for some time. So get involved, protect your business, keep your workers working, and there's the payroll protection loan that the SBA is putting out there to help you keep your payrolls. That's a short-term measure, and then once everybody starts working again, you're going to want to look for some of these opportunities to also help you diversify. So I say step 1, explore the opportunity. And I'm going to share with you a training which I call Exploring the Government Marketplace for your small business, because it's not for everybody. But you want to do a few things to assess to see, hey, is this for you? And there could be some great opportunities in it. If it is, then where do we go from there? Number 2, educate yourself. SBA, PTAC, they both do local workshops. Also, as Jeanette mentioned, we have a partnership with the PTACs to bring the online training. You guys can access that at no cost to you. Govology.com is our website where we do that. So you got the classroom and virtual. Also, as you go along, build and leverage a network of subject matter experts. So right here, you've got Joe, you've got me, you've got Marnie and what she does, you've got Jeanette. But as you grow, and this was talked about like in the book Think and Grow Rich, the Mastermind Alliance, the classic book by Napoleon Hill. And so as you go, you're going to get some training in a classroom setting, you're going to get some training in a virtual setting, but also these people are going to be in place for you. And the more you add these folks to your Rolodex, and you don't even know where to go for the training at the particular time, you reach out and call them. Research your market and get the facts. This is a critical piece that a lot of businesses just jump in, and it's kind of like put the cart before the horse. So they're off and running, and they have no idea if their product is even of value to the government. And so really, as soon as you get registered, you're going to want to do some market research. We have some training on how to do that on Govology. Also, I know the PTACs can also help you guys do some market research, but you want to know things like who buys what I sell, what are they buying, about how much are they paying for it, and do we even have a competitive angle here? There's some great programs for small business certifications where you can get set aside contracts through the government, but you also have to have a value-based product that's valuable to the government, because the government's not going to pay you 50% more just because you're a small business, and so they do have goals to meet, but it also has to be within a reasonable realm. So make sure that whatever you're doing, you're competitive out there, and this is going to help to give you the knowledge piece, the classroom and virtual learning, the Mastermind Alliance, and doing the market research. And as you're doing the market research, part of that is going to be that qualitative analysis where you're just reaching out to the agencies to ask them questions and not really trying to pitch them all the time and saying, hey, here's what we do. We want to find out a little bit about how you guys acquired this product or service and see if we can maybe, be of a value to you. And that's going to build relationships, and you can follow up back with those relationships if you do have something of value to sell to the government. Step 3 is to get set up properly and keep your eyes open. And so Jeanette talked about getting set up at sam.gov. She can help you do that for free. Also, the folks at the Oregon PTAC can help you do that for free as well. She mentioned GCAPP. Also, what I mean by keep your eyes open is to get signed up for the PTAC's bid matching service. Jeanette mentioned, I think it was like $160 something. I don't remember, but guys, that is a
165.
Okay, it's a tremendous value. If you were to, and there's companies out there that charge thousands of dollars for a bid matching tool. And the cool thing about this is that when you get it, it'll not only look for federal opportunities, but you can also indicate, do you want to see state, local, county, port, school districts, and where do you want to see that, in your local area or all across the nation? And when Jeanette or whoever's on your PTAC team sets that up for you, they can punch in some keywords so that you start getting in your email inbox opportunities from all across the nation, if that's where you want to sell, or all across the local geography. If you are looking specifically to sell into COVID opportunities that are going on right now, I would recommend, and Jeanette mentioned beta.sam.gov. There's a contract opportunities portal there. You can type in the keyword COVID-19, COVID-19 or coronavirus. But if you set up a bid matching profile, you can also get your PTAC counselor to set up with those keywords, COVID-19 and coronavirus, and that automated system will go and search those databases, federal, state, local, county, port, school districts, for anything that basically returns a hit for that keyword. And I know because I saw a OMB memo, agency to contracting heads at the federal level, was to put this keyword in your solicitation so it's easy to be found. And so put that as a keyword. And also, again, at that contracting opportunities portal, if you go there at beta.sam.gov, and it's going to have a little drop down at the top, it says, what do you want to look for? Awards. You're going to want to click that little drop down and say contract opportunities, and just type in COVID-19. The other thing besides opportunities that you're going to see there is that there's been letters from the agencies explaining what they're doing to work with the contracting community in their need. Number 4 is to reach in. Now, what that means is don't just sit back. Now that you got set up, okay, you're going to start to see some things coming through your email channels. But here's the secret. Not everything gets publicized to the internet, so that means that it cannot get picked up by the bid matching service. So you want to understand how that works for you and know, okay, well, if they're not posting it here, where are they posting it? And sometimes that becomes part of that questions that you're going to ask the buyers and the agencies that you want to sell to. But also, there's something called the micro purchase threshold. Right now, that is at $10,000, but actually during this crisis, the government has increased that micro purchase threshold to $20,000. which means that agency departments on their credit cards, if they need something that you have, they can call you up and put $20,000 on a credit card. No competition is required, and it's never going to get posted to the internet. Now, your job is, if you have critical supplies or services that agencies need, is not just to sit back and see if something comes into your email box. Reach out, use your network, use Joe, use Jeanette, call me, but reach out to the agencies that you want to do business with and say, hey, I have N95 mask, I have this PPE that you guys are looking for, and figure out where that stream of opportunities are, because a lot of times if you're talking to the right person, they could just do a credit card buy with you right over the phone for up to $20,000 without even having to do competition. Also, I will mirror what Joe said on to avoid scams. So just as there's scams with regards to the loans, there's scams on the contracting side as well. And there's companies that are very sneaky. They will basically run ads even on Google, and you'll see that. And so there's like people, hey, get registered in SAM, but you click that and you end up in this site that looks like a government website, but you end up paying $600 by the time you get through it, when you could have just gone to your PTAC and got registered for free. There's other sites, and you'll see emails out there. You're going to see things maybe even promoted where sign up for this FEMA disaster registry. That's probably a scam. Again, look for the .gov URL and to make sure you're on an official government website when you're going to get registered for those things. Or call your PTAC, call Joe. Let them guide you if you see something that's a little bit questionable. So if you want to get started, where do you do? So we've got a few trainings online that would be good for you. And Marnie, I will get these out if you want to email that out or post these on your page. All of these hyperlinks are active. This Exploring the Government Marketplace for Your Small Business is a training that I put together so you can kind of help understand that you can understand the pros and the cons of doing business. And like I said, it's not for everybody. So if it's not for you, don't go into that realm, But if you think that this is something that is for you and something that you guys can benefit from, then what's the next steps after that? We have a government market fundamental series, which is 11 courses that basically step you through things like getting started, certifications, marketing, Federal Acquisition Regulations 101. So it's a pathway, a recommended training pathway to help you get some of the knowledge that you're going to need in the beginning. COVID-19 considerations for federal contractors is a 90-minute session that we actually just did, going in depth on this topic in regards to federal contracting. We have that available, access for free online at Govology. And also, that COVID-19 is free for everyone, but if you go to our website today, you'll see that a lot of our training, it's either $75, but if you get with your PTAC, we both have partnerships in Washington and Oregon. They can give you a code, and when you go to register for these trainings that I mentioned here on this screen, you can enter that code and it's going to zero out the balance, and you can access that training at no cost to you. There is my contact information, so I encourage you to connect with me as well as everyone else in the Govology community. We have folks from the PTACs there. We have subject matter experts there. We have other government contractors. And there I'm specifically speaking about, we have a LinkedIn group called Govology Nation. I have a little bit of a link down here at the bottom for you, govology.com/nation. That's going to jump you into our free LinkedIn group. So I suggest that you request access to that group, and I'll get you access to that. Jeanette, Joe, Marnie, also I invite you guys in to join that group. And if we're posting a lot of resources there through that feed in terms of information, not just on COVID, but just general questions that might come through on contracting. So if you guys want to jump in with us and join the conversation, I'd love to have you guys in there. I think Jeanette's already in there. There's my email address if you want to reach out to me, phone number. Our website is govology.com. And if you'd like to set up a time just to set up a 15-minute call with me or get a quick consult to get some quick guidance on let me help you get you pointed in the right direction, or walk you through a couple of recommended trainings on the website, feel free to set up a 15-minute consult with me. That link is live. You can access my calendar, find a spot, and just book it right there. So that is all I've got, Marnie, and I will turn it back over to you now.
Oh, thank you. Well, you guys have provided so much good information. I know this call is probably getting to the point where it's getting long. So, and you covered so much information and you did such a good job that I think whatever questions are still out there, you provided your contact information. Businesses can reach out direct. Of course, you can reach out to me. And Carol, I want to share my screen one more time, if you don't mind.
Okay. Give me a second.
Sure.
You got it.
Okay. Let's see here. So again, where are we? Here's my contact information. And so it's Marnie Farnes, and it's mfarnes@credc.org. That's my email. And just one more time, don't forget to take our survey. We need that. But Joe, Jeanette, and Carol, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing all your.
Thank you for putting.
Yeah. Good.
Thank you for putting this on. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for Carol. Thanks for setting this up and everybody flexing. Sorry to those who are listening to this who went to watch our Zoom call. Sorry that it didn't work, but as we all know, that's just kind of how it is right now. And yeah, and we're going to continue to do these calls for a while as long as there's a need. So stay tuned for the next one that will be posted on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. So follow CREDC on whichever channel is your favorite, or all of them. And with that, Joe, Jeanette, Carol, have a good day. Keep me posted.
All right, have a great day.
We'll talk soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Goodbye.